All right. Grand Rising, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time you click on this video is the right time for you. And I thank you in advance for your support and your viewership. This is a subscriber's request. Please forgive me, sweetheart. I can't remember your name right now, but I will have it in the title and I will add you when this video is uploaded. You will definitely know because you'll have a mention. I was going to sleep on this and do this reading tomorrow, but I just couldn't. So even though I'm tired, I just got off from work and I got all this stuff going on with these different projects. I had to just go ahead and take some time before I wind down to do this reading for Tory Lanez, known to his family as Daystar Peterson. And I addressed in my last reading that the people who are behind this is not about who did what to who. This was the assassination of the character Tory Lanez, and it was done by destroying the credibility and the life of Daystar Peterson. And I'm saying that to say this. In entertainment, they retire characters all the time. That's why alter egos are a thing, because the alter ego can move in certain ways and say and do things that the actual person doesn't do. That's why the whole thing with personas are so important. The persona versus the person. So this is what we're seeing. They're assassinating the persona by legally destroying the person. And it's amazing to me, no matter how you feel about this case, if you take the notable names out of this case and you look at the evidence that was brought before a court of law, any court in America would throw this case out or dismiss it because the evidence is missing. There's conflicting testimonies and statements, and I mean lots of them. There's conflicting statements with the doctors to the severity of the injuries, and even the doctor who actually took the stand seemed to be a bit confused when he was questioned about, I want to say, the severity of Megan's injury to the point to where she was unable to walk and needed therapy. He seemed like that was new to him, like almost like, how, what, where'd that come from, right? I mean, then you have Kelsey. Kelsey gets on the stand, and I have no idea how she didn't end up in contempt of court, because she played Ring Around the Rosie the whole time she was on the stand. Tory's first defense team definitely dropped the ball, because if you go back to EJ's testimony actually was the nail in the coffin had he been cross-examined properly. So I had already stated in my last two readings on Tory that they were going to try to hold Tory for around 4 years. Matter of fact, I don't know if it's, I know the last one for sure, and then the one before that one, because I've done multiple. So before he ever, lost the initial trial, before he um, even got a verdict, I said that there was a possibility that they wanted him to do at least around 4 years. Now he's been sentenced to a 10-year sentence, and it's got to go before the Supreme Court for this to actually get out of the district that it's in, so that he could possibly get a retrial. But the most intriguing part of this all is that it seems like Tory's lawyers get to a certain point and they just run out of gas. And nobody seems to really find that peculiar, that they'll jump in, they'll come in boxing and windmilling, doing all of this to get into the courtroom, and then they just get to a certain point to where it's like, oh, okay, I think I'm gonna slow down here. So now that I've gotten that out the way, I want to tap into the current energy. Where does Tory go from here? How are things going to work from here? And what's the possibility of what's to be expected? Now, this reading is for entertainment purposes only. And energy is subjective, meaning that at any given point, it can be altered. But with that being said, let's tap into the energy around Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez. What is Tory to expect from this point on out? I can already tell you before I even shuffle these cards, it's beyond feeling betrayed. This is like shock. This is like, oh my God, this is really happening. This is my life. And he's going over everything that happened, all of his affiliations, everybody he's talked to that, I won't say they turned a cold shoulder, but they became more and more distant. He's thinking about conversations that he had with people, if he said anything to anyone that could have possibly lined him up. He knows that people were sent in to kind of like, pump him for information to see where he was coming from. And some people just volunteered to do it so that they could, get that get that proverbial pat on the back, that pass. It's like, look, I got some information. Nobody even, requested it from them. All right, Five of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles. So Five of Pentacles is not just the card of poverty and being in a poorhouse. This is him feeling like he's, really on the outside looking in. This is being ostracized. This is being stripped down to the bare nubs. And this is, him trying to decipher what's next. He's juggling with the idea of where does he go from here. Oh, wow. I never paid attention to this with these cards, but I'm an intuitive reader. So anything that jumps out, it stands out for a reason. I want you all to pay attention to the design at the top of this Five of Pentacles. Now, I know that's not necessarily the Masonic symbol, but it's very, very similar. And he's feeling like, people of a certain echelon, certain order are responsible for, stripping him down and, pretty much picking away at him down to the bone. Queen of Swords, which is an air sign. And we all know that Megan is an Aquarius, and Aquarius is definitely an air sign. So he's, like I said, he's juggling in his thoughts about everything that happened. She's very heavy in his mind right now. Why is that? Wow. So we got the Ace of Swords and we've got the Wheel of Fortune. And, he's looking at, his wealth, his resources. Everything is up in the air right now over this situation. And he's trying to figure out how can he get to the point where he can get the truth out. Okay? Because this is fast movement and expansion, but he's also thinking about how being in this big B energy right here got him in this situation. He's thinking about how being lower vibrational put him in harm's way, and how dealing with her in this type of energy lined him up. Eight of Wands. And all of this came about swiftly. He feels like, wow, bottom of the deck, the Artist. Okay. So he feels like all of this just came, tumbling down on him out of nowhere. And it could have all been so simple. It could have been alleviated with the truth. So, there's definitely something that's not being said about this whole situation. And we all know that. I mean, there were lies on everybody's end. Unfortunately, on Tory's end, he didn't tell the whole truth, not because he did something, but because he was trying to look out for everybody involved. He just didn't expect to get steamrolled. This is messed up because this feels like that whole nice guys finish last type thing. Wait a minute. Seven of Swords. Two of Swords. Something fell down here. Give me a second. Alrighty. Okay. So, Seven of Swords, very sneaky energy. Two of Swords, that caused him to be cut off from his family due to unearned income. So, that's interesting because I said before that it's, I want to say very, very early on in my readings. I want to say between Kelsey and Megan, the assumption was always that Tory offered money to pay off Megan and Kelsey. But what this is feeling like, and I've seen this before, that money was offered towards one of these women, but not from him. And because of that, that caused somebody to turn on him. This person cut him off and decided to go into this sneaky behavior. And they took, pretty much they took an offer because this person was considering their family. So they took an offer, and the offer caused him to be cut off from his family. Two of Cups. Now, Two of Cups is like soulmate, twin flame type energy. Also, people that are in a very, very deeply binded relationship. So, allegedly, okay, allegedly, this is looking like he's insinuating that there was something offered to Kelsey, and it caused her to switch up on him and cut him off. But what this looks like to me is Kelsey was considering her family, her Two of Cups, the family she was about to have, and her being pregnant. Pretty much she had to make a pimp decision. So the artist falls under the Five of Pentacles, and he would be, the artist in this situation. Like I tell everybody, if you've been with me for a while, I don't just read what hits the table. I read as I shuffle any messages that pop out to me. If it's meant to come out, it will hit the table. But as you can see, Seven of Wands, the Chariot, and the Page of Swords. So Seven of Wands is somebody standing up for themselves, defending themselves. The Chariot is also a vehicle. Page of Swords is being watched, surveillance. So he's talking about being defensive, standing up for himself during a situation in the car, and there were onlookers watching. The artist and the Two of Cups falls under the Two of Pentacles. So the Two of Pentacles falling over the Two of Cups is a card of juggling the person that you actually care about. And he's looking at how something like this, something that would seem so regular and so small, cost this Five of Pentacles to him and his profession. I mean, this is a lot of deep reflection. He's milling over everything that led up to this situation. Ace of Wands, Knight of Cups. So, that's being in whole energy, because the Ace of Wands is that big D energy. Knight of Cups is coming to offer your cup. And that's to a certain extent being an opportunist, putting yourself out there so that you could, it's, wow. It's like he was social climbing through the influence of these women. And this goes back into that lower vibrational energy. So here it is. You really, really like Kelsey. Kelsey was somebody you could really see yourself kicking it with, being with. But to hook up with Megan, definitely would have got your clout up. And then when, you heard Kylie Jenner wanted you to come over, that was, clicking that clout up another 10,000 points, right? But now he's looking at the error in his ways, where he was blinded to the situations he was putting himself in by social climbing through sexual energy and not looking at the bigger picture. Yeah, Seven of Wands falls under the Wheel of Fortune. So it's like now he has to defend himself, and he has to defend his his wealth, because this situation is eating away at a large portion of his wealth and what he thought was supposed to be or is supposed to be, you know, his family dynasty, what he's building, the brand that he's building for his child, his children, his children's children. This is supposed to be, generational wealth. Bottom of the deck, the reader. So the reader is somebody who's very intuitive. And I feel like somebody who's very close to Tory is very spiritually inclined, even to the point to where they can prophesy because they're that close with God. And Tory has a certain energy about him that if he taps in, he could be that person. But he was vibrating in such a low energy that he was out of alignment for, his not even just his musical gifts, but his spiritual gifts, because he comes from a very tapped in family. Queen of Cups. Now, this feels like he's saying that this Queen of Cups knows the truth. And this could be that intuitive person that I was just speaking on. And also, I'm not sure when Kelsey's birthday is. Anybody feel free, leave her, birthday or her zodiac down below. If she's a water sign, then this totally makes sense, because he's saying that you know the truth. So this is like he's holding her accountable for not really putting it on the wood. You know what it is, you know what's going on, and you let this come down on me. Eight of Wands. You let this come down on me swiftly. Yeah, the reader, the Tower, the Eight of Cups. So the reader, the Tower, and the Eight of Cups is very intriguing to me, because it's almost like he could have been warned about, he could have been warned about the energy that he was in, but this feels like he could have been warned about his ways getting him into trouble. And he just, he kind of just shook it off. He brushed it off, was like, nah, it ain't even that big a deal. Like somebody warned him about the energy around, and this is feeling like the energy around Megan in particular, because these two weren't the only two he was dealing with. Okay, like I said, he liked Kelsey, he was feeling Kelsey, but there were others sprinkled and peppered, here and there around, that he dealt with. This is that I get around type energy, right? But he definitely was warned about this dynamic in particular, this triangle in particular. And whoever this intuitive person is, the reader, the Tower, the Eight of Cups, they let him know that this wasn't something he was just going to be able to jump in and out of. He wasn't going to be able to just walk away from this, all willy-nilly like it was no big deal. But he completely underestimated how big of a mess this was going to be when he walked away from this situation. So, yeah. And then the way this came about so swiftly. The Emperor. Now, the Emperor is also the father of the deck. So it's a very, very big possibility that Tory's father had been counseling him about, you know, being more careful with how he was dealing with women and being more careful about um, the types of situations that he was putting himself in. Telling him to be very mindful about the situations that he was putting himself in and the ways of the flesh and how it could be um, it can be destructive. And he just, he brushed it off. He thought no big deal. This, here you go with all this religious stuff. But it was more so prophecy. Now he's starting to understand the wisdom of his father more and more. Okay. So you got the Queen of Wands and you got the Ten of Wands, right? Now, we know that Megan is a air sign. But anytime she pops up in this reading with Tory Lanez or whatnot, my card for the hot girl is the Queen of Wands because that's the fire sign queen. And he realizes that the energy that he ended up putting himself in put the weight of the world on his shoulders, almost unbearable. It feels like it's too heavy to carry, and it's attached to the situation with Megan. But what I'm finding interesting is that this falls under the Six of Pentacles. So it's kind of intriguing because it's like Kelsey got the deal of immunity that she took to make sure her and her family were secure. But allegedly, this unearned income that has to do with balancing the scales, and the scales represent justice in court, that's falling over the hot girl. And like I said, this reading is for entertainment purposes only. Allegedly is looking like there was some type of interesting deal that, sweetened the pot for Megan. And it's something that's very beneficial for her that she didn't necessarily have to work for. But she had to show up and be present. And this is feeling like it's attached to this Ten of Wands. Six of Swords. This is moving on towards victory, moving on to calmer waters, leaving a negative situation behind for the artist. So, Five of Pentacles, the artist. And then the Queen of Swords, once again, which is the card that falls in her suit. This is going back to the energy of him wanting to move on peacefully from whatever energy he had with Megan. He was going to just, allegedly, he was going to move on from her, leave. Oh, my candle was popping. There we go. He was going to move on from her, leave well enough be. Hey, it was fun while it lasted. It's been real. And that turned into a tower. Now, possibly she didn't like being dismissed. She felt like she should have been the one to dismiss him. How dare he, switch up on her or cut her loose? So this is also going back to the night that all of this happened. So, like I said, he's in heavy retrospection. He's looking over everything that's happened. He's looking over how things played out. He's looking at what could he have done to have not been in this situation, reevaluating himself now in this situation. And he's seeing that this Ten of Wands comes out of him juggling the person that he actually wanted to be with, the relationship he actually wanted to be in. He juggled that and dealt with someone and added someone into the equation that ended up being his tower. So he's realizing, had he not have been thinking with the little head, that there's a very big chance that he wouldn't have gotten caught up in this situation due to, just being weak to the flesh. So it's like this situation is building spiritual character for him, because now he's learning how to defeat his own shortcomings, because those shortcomings are what allowed this energy to be attached to him in the first place. Interesting. Queen of Swords, the air sign. So now we got the Wheel of Fortune and the Seven of Wands over the Queen of Wands. So being that the Wheel of Fortune in the upright is like he was on the top of the world. Everything in his life was going great. Everything was turning out, roses. Everything was turning out better than he could have expected. And then he looks at this whole, defending himself against this Queen of Swords. He's realizing that, not only did the situation blow up in the vehicle, but he should have been more proactive about getting the message out about what actually happened. And I said before, he realized he has to go into what would be considered beast mode, savage mode. He can no longer spare feelings. He can no longer worry about people more than he worries about himself. Because he was trying to, have everybody in a situation to where nobody was thrown under the bus. But because he was thinking about everybody more than he was thinking about himself, it was used against him, and this was a huge disadvantage for him. And now he's truly understanding that. Two of Wands falling under the Ace of Swords, which is the truth. The Queen of Cups, remember I said, he said, what really happened. Okay, a choice was made, Two of Wands. And it was a wish fulfillment. Nine of Wands for the wounded warrior. Now, we didn't get to see any footage of this altercation that they keep trying to deny. And I would not be surprised that if, they were able to get these ring cameras and community cameras, because this is a wealthy neighborhood. So I'm pretty sure somebody's, home security system picked up this altercation. But let's say, just for speculation, that Kelsey would have been considered the wounded warrior in this situation. He feels like it's the truth with her is not, being told in its full entirety, because a choice had to be made, which was a wish fulfillment for her. And that choice is attached to the whole story of how she became the wounded warrior. Six of Wands, moving forward towards victory. So let's delve into this story, because he's, like I said, he's taking us down memory lane, and he's going through all of the thoughts, all of the nuances of everything that's happened, right? So what exactly is the energy attached to this wounded warrior, this Nine of Wands? Listen, play with it not. The Star. The Star is the card of the Aquarius. Megan is the Aquarius. And between her and Kelsey, she is the Star. So, like I said, that goes to the altercation, King of Swords. King of Swords in the upright is someone who does not hold their tongue. They don't have time for worrying about feelings and how the delivery comes out about what they say. There was a sharp truth that was told, and somebody was very cutthroat with their communication, even though, this hurt. It was a very, very sharp truth that was told, and that truth led to this wounded warrior energy with the Star, the Aquarius. Let's talk more about what this truth was. Six of Wands, moving forward towards victory. What was the victory? King of Swords, moving forward towards victory. Like I said, this is a very harsh communication, but it's a hard truth. It's a hard pill to swallow. Somebody's being foolish, also taking a leap of faith. That's it. Taking that leap of faith. Someone's being foolish, and something was illuminated, because as you can see, the Fool is out walking at night. This, even with the hair covering the eyes, this person had on rose tinted glasses, or they were blinded to what was really going on, and then boom, something was illuminated. So that's that harsh communication. So here it is. Let's remember, there was an argument in the vehicle. At some point in the argument, it said that both women had ganged up on Tory, because Tory was arguing with Megan, and Kelsey didn't like the way that he was speaking to her friend. So this is that harsh truth that came from Tory. Got it. And when Tory set the record straight, it led to the wounded warrior. That's how this fight started. Okay, so we all speculated on that. Now he's realizing that this was a foolish decision, okay? He didn't think that this was going to spark all of this. Five of Swords, arguing, harsh communication. And as you can see, this is three people. This is, everybody's back is to everybody. There's what appears to be one man, two women. And these people are all arguing. And there's three swords. Two are down, one is up. Which means two people are being deceptive. One person is being honest. But those two swords down means this honesty is going to cause somebody to be cut off. Like I said, somebody was going to be cut off, the hermit. Somebody was going to be ostracized. Somebody was going to be penalized by having, you know, relationships come to an end and having to be alone. So, damn, that falls under the Eight of Wands, the Reader, the Tower, and the Eight of Cups. So now it's like, okay, all by myself, walking away from this whole situation. This Tower happens, relationships break up. This is Tory to himself. He knew that this truth was going to cause him to lose both of these women when he said it. But it was one of those things to where it's like, I'm pretty much, I'm tired of this shit. You know, this is what it is. This is what happened. He was really, blunt about what was going on. And now he looks back on it and he feels like maybe I didn't have to deliver that message that way. Maybe if I had just been quiet, maybe if I just stayed home that night and I didn't even entertain this whole situation, I wouldn't be going through any of this right now. Five of Swords, Four of Cups. He's realizing this whole argument, this negative situation led to heavy, deep regret, because now it's like, this is a huge unrequited offer that came out of all of this arguing. Now, I find the story about what they were arguing about to be absolutely ridiculous. The part that they admitted to about, people's music and their catalog. But look at this, Eight of Pentacles. They really were arguing. Well, somebody was, allegedly, about something that had to do with work. So this is looking like, out of all things, no matter how ridiculous this is something that Kelsey was talking about that actually had a huge ring of honesty. So Megan was taking shots at his career and talking about his talent and his artistry. Please forgive me. Goodness gracious. So we know that everybody was exchanging low blows. So it seems like she was trying to tear him down, tear down his career, whatnot, because she was upset. And then he came through with the gut punch, so to speak. And it's like, okay, you talking about my music and my career, but why don't you tell your friend blah, blah, blah? You up here. That's how that transition got it. He got tired of her popping off, trying to down him, trying to demean him, trying to talk to him like he's lesser than, talking about him like he's not on her level, and pretty much demeaning him, his career, his talent, everything about him that makes him profitable. And he hit her with the gut punch and outed her to her friend. So there is a huge ring of truth in how Kelsey described the argument. There's a lot being left out, but that is the gist of how that argument transitioned. Wow. That was petty. Knight of Wands. So Queen of Wands, Knight of Wands. So yes, we know that this is Knight of Wands, because Knight of Wands is Mr. Here for the short time, not the long time. They were never supposed to go off into a real relationship. This was supposed to be, I see you when I see you, we smash when we smash. It's exciting, it's taboo, and it's exciting because it's something we ain't got no business doing, right? But it's like they were getting messy. People were, starting to pick up on this. People seen what was going on. Page of Swords. More people than not knew that there was something going on with these two. And this is also saying that this Eight of Pentacles, how they even hooked up in the first place was supposed to be regarding to work. They possibly were supposed to be talking about doing music together, some kind of collaboration. And instead of working, they ended up, working the sheets allegedly. So no wonder Kelsey didn't think anything about them being around each other, because they were supposed to be working on something together, a possible project together. And it is looking like one shot led to another, one tequila, two tequila, four panties and drawers all hit the floor, allegedly. And then, from there, hey, it was one of those it is what it is type moments. But after they hooked up, King of Pentacles, Megan started to understand that he was going places. He was really building something, for real, for real. And look at this. She was watching the King of Wands. So she was clocking him, okay? This feels more like she was watching him, seeing that, okay, he's leveling up, right? Because King of Wands, he's a fire sign. So that's him popping out, right? She knew that he was on his way up. And allegedly, she put herself in a position to social climb. So now I'm getting why she was so hurt. Because he pulled this is one of those, I pulled a you on you type situations. She put herself in a position to get next to him, to get on with him, because she found out after being around him and dealing with him that he was, that dude, he was leveling up. He was definitely one to watch. So she doubled back and let him double tap, allegedly. Because this was going to open doors for her for work. And then he doubled back and decided that he was going to social climb through the whole Kylie Jenner situation. But the funniest part of it all is he just got to, play around in the pool drunk in his clothes. Him and Kylie didn't even get to the point to where him and Megan got. But it had her so hot because how dare you play leapfrog and leap right over me to this other chick right in my face. Even though she did the same thing to her own friend. She felt like the audacity of him, how dare he do that to her? Interesting. He literally pulled the her on her. Ace of Pentacles. I told you he was one to watch. He was getting to the bag. Ace of Pentacles means that he had a very huge deal coming in. There was something that he was about to do that was going to take him up into that $100 million bracket. Because Ace of Pentacles, this is not rich. This is wealthy. Whatever he was about to do was going to make him wealthy. The Sun, happiest times. because that's like that one of the happiest cards in the deck. He was going up into the big boys club. And now look. King of Wands, Eight of Swords. Locked up, locked down, bound. This is the epitome of going from sugar to shit. And I know it feels like I'm going the long way around, but this is definitely one of those long way around type cases because there's so many moving, intricate parts. So it feels like he's thinking of all of these different intricate moving parts because he's looking at how he's going to have to structure this case now that it has to go to an outside adjudicator to give him the opportunity for a retrial. Excuse me. He's looking at everything that he's going to have to put on the floor. He's going to have to put a lot of information out there. He's going to have to be very detail oriented about the full dealings of how he dealt with everybody, what was actually happening. He's going to have to explain things in such a way to where it's going to possibly feel like it's surgical. Some of it is going to feel petty for some people because it's like, wait, why'd you even mention that? He didn't even have to say that. But in all actuality, there can be no stones left unturned. And now he's realizing, like I said before, no more Mr. Nice Guy. He's going to have to lay it all on the line. He's going to have to tell the full story in its entirety, no matter how messy it is, because his very life and livelihood depends on it. Because here he is. He's locked up. He's bound. He's stuck. He's trapped. And now he's realizing who he's actually dealing with, what he's actually dealing with. But it looks like there's happier times coming. Somebody's coming in with a message, or possibly he could be finally coming forward with a message once once some developments come about, because there's something that's going to be illuminated here about this whole situation that's going to start putting things into perspective. And then, once again, that Eight of Swords coming out. Happier times coming while he's bound, while he's stuck, while he's in jail. New opportunities, new actions being taken. Page of Wands. Knight of Swords. Like I said, new communication coming through about how he was stabbed in the back. Ten of Swords. He's taking the kid gloves off. He finally is realizing that this is war. He got to be ready to come through like Leonidas in Sparta. Sad to say it, but humbleness will get him nowhere in this situation. He's going to have to go full savage mode. Time for him to communicate about this betrayal, what actually happened, so that he can bring the situation to rest. Four of Swords. Look at here. Look what he's going to have to discuss. See how it felt like I was going all the way around the corner to come back? But this is why. Five of Wands is fight. This is a card of physicality. He's going to have to tell the full story about how they got down on the floor out there in the middle of the street. He's going to have to tell every detail See how this page of one keep popping out? That's new developments, new turns, new avenues, new opportunities. Two people being yoked and bound by toxic energy. Okay? So he's literally going to have to get up in the face of the beast and challenge the beast. He's going to have to tell everything, because this is the only way he's going to get balanced through a new beginning. Temperance. New opportunities coming after heartbreak. Three of Swords. Page of Wands finally falls down. So this whole situation is heartbreaking, that he got sentenced, that he got 10 years. But there's new opportunities coming after the sentencing. Strength and temperance. Listen, strength is the card of Leo. Also, he has to tap into his inner strength. He has to tap into the Most High, who is the Lion of Judah. Okay? So that he can get balanced through a new beginning. But temperance is also the temperance angel. Once he taps into this energy, he's going to get all the inspiration and the help that he needs. But like I said, this is a hard, ugly journey. You got to think of Daniel in the lion's den. Okay? Jonah in the well. Even, the Messiah. He had to literally go to hell and come back in the midst of, serving his purpose, so that he could come out on the other side of being the sacrificial lamb. This is the experience that Tory is having right now. But there is an other side to this experience once he decides to really buckle down, get prayed up, and start piecing together the full story. Everything that he didn't want to tell, that was going to shame people, that was going to possibly affect people's career, he has to throw it out there. Because look at this, the High Priestess. This is him sitting on a lot of secret knowledge. The High Priestess knows a lot and speaks very, very seldomly. There's a lot of energy here that he's been sitting on, a lot of information that he's been sitting on. There's so much going on because he was trying to protect so many people. Doesn't anybody find it interesting that we didn't know who was on the guest list for Kylie Jenner's party? We still don't know in its full entirety who was all there. These are also all people that he was trying to protect by not mentioning them, not saying, who all witnessed what and who all was present. I want y'all to think about that. Nobody has ever spoke about who was present. It was almost 2 years later before we knew Odell Beckham and another football player that he brought with him were at the party. We didn't even get full clarification about that until EJ had made that statement in his testimony, and he said that Odell and the white gentleman that came with Odell, the three of them weren't drinking. They were the only 3 out of the 12 people at this kickback that were not partaking in alcohol. So who were the other people that were all drinking? Because I want you all to think about the transcripts and the testimony of what EJ said. EJ said that they had consumed from 1 o'clock in the evening, around 1:30 in the afternoon, until I want to say maybe 4. They had consumed anywhere from I want to say 5 to 6 fifths of liquor. That's a lot of liquor to consume in such a short amount of time for possibly what, 8 people? And that was just, you know, that afternoon. We're not talking about that night when Tory arrived. He talked about how Megan was supposed to cook. She went in the kitchen to go brown some ground beef to make like nachos or tacos or something. And whatever happened, she ended up not completing that task. And he had to go into the pool and go get Kelsey because Kelsey passed out in the pool on I want to say like a floaty or a raft or something. So he went and got her out the pool so that she didn't roll over and fall into the pool. And he took her and, you know, put her in the bed so that she could go to sleep. So imagine everybody is this trashed before 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. And this is hours before Tory gets there, right? Nobody ever, ever, ever questioned who all took part in getting that wasted and what was the condition of all of those people that were drinking. These were all people that Tory, in his own way, was protecting because Tory didn't want anybody to get caught up. Looks like that's coming to an end because he realizes that he's fighting for his life. He can no longer spare anyone. Like I said, 3 of Swords. He's heartbroken over these secrets because there's so many secrets with this case. And even though the evidence was so circumstantial, it was still used against him. And he knows that it's because of secret means. Now listen, forward movement, the high priestess, and you got that coming off of a moon. That's a lot of trickery. And to have a high priestess come behind a moon actually could be a form of spell work, spell casting. It's definitely a lot of manipulative secret energy. Ace of Wands and the Lovers. So now he's going to have to go into the gritty details of who was doing what with who, how often. We're looking at, you know, text messages having to be released so that we can see the nature of everyone's relationships. This is going to get very, very messy. But it's going to have to happen because it's going to be necessary to get to the actual truth so that they could overturn this and get him a new trial. Because you have to be able to show, you know, strong, compelling evidence to push a judge to say, you know what, there are things here that need to be seen. Queen of Pentacles, 7 of Cups. And what else is this? 3 of Cups. Yeah. Listen. He's looking at how somebody leveled up, profited off of this third-party situation that they had that was affected by, you know, libations. So he's going to have to, oh, this is going to get messy. He's going to have to talk about, you know, because it's also a card of partying. So when you got this card of partying next to this card of libations, okay, because this isn't just considering your options. 7 of Cups is the card of someone who overindulges or indulges in multiple things. So when you look at, you know, here it is partying, indulging in party favors, drinking, whatever have you, he's going to have to talk about what type of partying was done, what type of substances possibly could have been in people's systems, or what type of habits people have with partying. Judgment. Okay, judgment is also what brought this karma about, but this is also going to affect the judgment if he can, get this open back up to go back to trial. Because now it's, like I said, the kid gloves are off. It's got to get messy. You got to get down in the dirt. You've got to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And this is where they're going to have to go off into substance abuse and what substances everybody was on and who has, substance abuse habits and problems. So this is, pretty much people's tea is about to start getting spilled about, a, alleged things that they partake in on a regular basis and the type of partying that they do. Look, Nine of Swords, Justice, the Lovers. So this is like, somebody losing a lot of sleep, high anxiety over how this played out in court due to this relationship or sexual entanglement. Judgment, Ace of Cups. So yeah, this goes back to court. They're going to have to dig all into the personal records, the tiniest of the tiniest details, and they're going to have to, spill all types of tea all across the court. This is going to turn into like a nighttime soap. He gets his chance to open this case back up. This is going to look like a steamy nighttime soap because the details are going to be free flowing. We're going to talk about alleged addictions, habitual behavior, propensity for certain types of behavior while being under the influence. We're going to have to address different people's sexual habits. Ooh-wee. I see why this would be a Nine of Swords for people that came into collaboration. Also, third party energy, and why this really came to an end. Death. Why this is really a situation for grief, because somebody's going to have to be humiliated. I mean, he's already fallen on sword and he's gone as low as he can go. So it's really not much he has to lose at this point, but somebody else has a lot to lose. This could slow Megan's money down tremendously once all of this comes out and possibly bring her career to a rest. This reading is long enough. I might have to have a part 2 because it's like he's got some smoking guns. And I want to say once again, allegedly, he has a lot of information that possibly has been handed over to him from other people in the industry that can be proven, not just his own information. So even though people don't want to pick a side publicly, they don't want to put themselves in a position to lose their careers, it's still looking like people are silently picking a side because they're turning over information that is very viable, that can be used, allegedly, in a court of law. And this could have been information that was given over before he went to jail. This is not feeling like information that people just ran to give him after the fact because they felt sorry that he got locked up. I feel like these were like war stories, or, like Too Short says, cocktails, right? These were all stories that were shared before he went to jail. These were all things that he didn't want to put on the table because he didn't want to talk under her clothes. He didn't want to embarrass Megan. He didn't want to put her in harm's way mentally and emotionally, because this situation already, turned into something way bigger than it was expected to turn into. So he was trying to do a cleanup on aisle 6 by not making it worse than it already was, not making it worse than it already had to be. Ace of Cups and the Empress. Now, I don't even want to tap too far into this, but allegedly, and I'm saying a strong allegedly, this is a card of pregnancy. This is a card of abundance. And also, you got a peace dove here. Usually, like with the Ace of Cups, you'll see like fish down here, but you got lily pads. So, and jeez, I'm saying this with a strong allegedly for YouTube intents and purposes. There is a possibility that each one of these lily pads could have been a month. So if allegedly somebody was possibly, in the family way, as they used to say, they could have been around 3 months in the family way. Four of Swords, Three of Wands. So it's like he took the opportunity to put this to rest. He didn't want to put certain information out there because even though it doesn't seem like it, he cares very deeply, but he doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve. And he just felt like putting certain information out was sleazy, and he just didn't want to do that. Well, now, he's going to have to do everything that he didn't want to do. He's going to have to say everything he didn't want to say. He's going to have to go there. His back is against the wall. He can't go anywhere else. And when you got your back against the wall, only thing you can do is fight your way out the corner. So Page of Cups. This is like light communication. So this is letting me know that he really didn't say much of anything. He kept it real calm, cool, and collected. There was so much more that could have been said. Six of Cups, the Empress. Okay? That's a person coming back from the past. Empress, we know his mother is gone, so that's not a motherly figure coming back from the past as far as a mother figure for him. This is like a woman that, like I said, either his baby mama or somebody that he dealt with in the past that was pregnant. Allegedly. The Chariot, that's forward movement. Justice, the King of Cups. So he's very, very tight about what happened in court. He's very deep in his feelings. He's not saying anything. He's keeping to himself. But this is something that is very, very close to his heart. And he's very emotional about it, but he's keeping his game face on. And he's thinking about, the independent woman, how she became a hangman to him. All of these things are crossing his mind now. He's looking at this whole situation, how this all played out, and he's feeling like he played himself. He was trying to, cover everybody so that everybody could walk away from this, still have their career, still have their dignity intact. Um, Even if he had to fall on the sword to a certain degree, he still did not want to throw anybody under the bus in this type of situation. The Chariot in the world. So he's realizing that moving forward the way he was moving has to come to an end, because the world is the end of a cycle. And the Chariot, we already know, is a vehicle. This, after this cycle of what happened in this vehicle, it brought everything that he knew, at that current time as his current life to an end. And he's just thinking about this person from his past is his hangman. He's very, very deep in his thoughts about how just dealing with Megan, period, just did not manifest good energy for him at all. 10 of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles. So, yeah, he's thinking about his, like I said, his financial stability, everything he worked for, how he takes care of his family, his wealth, everything that he was building, what he was going to have, how he was going to have generations of wealth to where his family wasn't going to have to work. They were, they could work for the family business. This is everything he was creating for his bloodline. And he's just thinking back in the past about, commitment, possibly, I don't know about the situation between him and his child's mother, but he's thinking about, how life would have been different if he had just settled down and got married, and if he had to live more of a straight-laced life versus being out here in the fast lane, turning up. The Moon, Hangman. So he knows that all of these secrets are what pretty much got him in this position. And Hierophant, all of this thinking, everything that he's going through is helping him to get to his higher self, because the Hierophant is God in its highest form. And when you become the Hierophant, you are literally a conduit for God himself. So this situation is going to forge him, is going to remove everything from him in his life that God can't use. And then he's going to level up spiritually, and he's going to come out of this extremely enlightened. Yeah, he's looking at stability, things that he, contracted himself to, things that, he was married to, business, lifestyle, mindsets. Now he's thinking about, I just want to settle down with one person, have a family, build within that family. This is sowing seeds for a bigger harvest. He doesn't want to just spread his seed around and deal with all these different people. I said it. It finally came out. He's becoming enlightened. It's like he's literally tapping into God directly. Page of Pentacles. This is someone who is apologetic, but it's like this time around he's apologizing to himself, because he's realizing that had he have been higher minded, he would have never been in this type of situation. So now he's gonna, lay the groundwork to do what he has to do, because I'm getting a song from Sade, the King of Sorrow. The part where she says that I'm crying everyone's tears. I have already paid for all my future sins. This is where he is now. So he's, sowing seeds to create a harvest that's going to help him to reshape his life. And he understands that some of the stuff is karma for energy that he shouldn't have been in. But this is also as you sow, so shall you reap. So the people who sowed this energy against him, they're about to start reaping energy in different ways of their lives. He's realizing that had he have not been in this Casanova type energy, he would not have reaped this kind of karmic energy. The Magician and the Page of Pentacles. So yeah, he's trying to figure out, how does he move forward? What does he need to do to manifest and bring new energy into his life? Because that's like, he is very apologetic, more so to his family, and it's like the energy of his mother. He feels like, he needs to be a better man because he wants to make his mother proud. He doesn't want his mother to see him as the media has portrayed him. Even though she's not here, he thinks of her heavily. She's, definitely with him in his thoughts at all times. And he thinks about, the Four of Pentacles, the Empress to the Four of Pentacles to the Knight of Cups. He thinks about, how him being stubborn and him thinking that he had to be fixed in how he was doing things and the way that he was moving and how he was offering himself to the world, not just, in these relationships or these entanglements. Now he's realizing that he has to go about life different. And the first step to that is getting this case reopened so that he can have another court date and he can get a second chance at life to do things the right way the next time around, because now he's realizing that he definitely, had he have not been weak to the flesh, had he had not been trying to be a part of something that spiritually he knew didn't really align with him, they couldn't have had him in the position to make him the sacrificial lamb that he is from this case. So I'm going to end this here because this reading has definitely been long enough, and it is literally like possibly 3 something in the morning, and I got to get some rest because I've been up literally since, I want to say 8 yesterday morning. So if I'm going to make it to work and not literally look like Weekend at Bernie's, I got to go to bed. But thank you so much for this subscriber's request. And I'm going to hold off on doing a part 2 because I don't want to release too much information, because I don't want to go off into any strategies about how Tory is going to do whatever it is that he feels like he needs to do. But I've said it before and I'm going to say it again in closing. He's realizing that at this point, he doesn't need to worry about saving anyone but himself. He helped everyone but himself. Now is the time for him to really just go internally, deal with what he needs to remove mentally, spiritually, and even physically from his life so that he can become one with God. And he's going to have to stop sparing people, stop sparing their feelings, and tell the truth and shame the devil, because this case is literally a split between good and evil. This case stopped being about, who did what to who a very long time ago, because allegedly certain affiliations certain fractions, certain orders, brotherhoods, institutions had to be protected. And that was more important than his freedom to some people. His freedom, that was just collateral damage. They had to protect the church's money at all cost. So I'm going to end this reading here. Thank you, everyone, for your support and your viewership. And this is my reading on Daystar Peterson, better known to the industry as Tory Lanez. And now that he has been sentenced to 10 years in prison, what does he do now? And I wish him all the peace of mind that he can get, because this is a very hard situation. I pray for his family. I pray for his son. Even with Megan, because she doesn't realize that to a certain extent, she's a pawn in this situation. And even if she knows that, she's a part of a bigger plan, I don't think she understands the part that she's actually playing. But I'm done, and I'm going to take a day or so off so I can get some rest, and then I'm going to knock out, maybe I want to say 3-4 more readings. Once again, thank you, everyone, and this reading is adjourned.